Let's shift focus. Well, not shift focus, but get another view on this one. And this time around, we'll get a view of the national chairman of the All Progressives Congress, APC, Comrade Adams Oshiomhole, joins us from Abuja. Thank you so much, Comrade Oshiomhole, for joining us tonight. Let me begin by letting you know the reaction of the PDP presidential candidate, Mr. Atiku Abubakar. He has reacted, and this is what he said. Mr. Atiku says, whether justice was done is left to the Nigerian people to decide. As a Democrat, I fought a good fight for the Nigerian people. I will keep on fighting for Nigeria and for democracy and also for justice. Mr. Atiku went further to say, to those who think they have broken my spirit, I'm sorry to disappoint you. I'm too focused on Nigeria to think about myself. I gave up that luxury 20 years ago. The question is not if I'm broken. The question is if Nigeria is whole. Comrade Oshiomhole, let me begin by asking you, the reaction of the PDP is that of shock and that what the Supreme Court gave today is not right. What are your immediate reactions?
Well, thank you very much. I think you put it nicely to my friend whose frustration we can perfectly understand, Buba Galadima. When PDP wins in Sokoto, it's justice. When they lost in Abuja, it is injustice. For me, I want to start by appreciating Nigerians who went to vote, who abandoned their normal business and social activities to cast their vote for Buhari and some for Atiku, among other presidential candidates. And I believe this matter was resolved by Nigerians when they voted, and Buhari had a margin of 3.9 million over and above Atiku. And even for elementary students of law, I'm not a lawyer, but I was in court, both at the appeal court and today. It's very clear that PDP based their case on very flimsy roadside pedestrian grounds. The appeal, as I saw it, they're talking about whether Muhammadu Buhari is Mohammed Buhari. I don't think Nigerians were in doubt as to who they voted for. Whether President Buhari went to secondary school or did not go to secondary school. For me, those are technicalities that they were fishing on. I thought the real issue was whether or not Buhari scored majority of the lawful vote cast in the last election. And clearly, even if you were to grant everything that they questioned before the court, they wouldn't have been able to nullify up to 100,000 votes. So clearly, for people like us who have been through election petition tribunal, it's clear that PDP was everything was based on social media speculation. You report a Yahoo man from Kenya who agreed before the court that he is not certified by anybody or association or institution known to law. However, he derived his figures, which PDP apparently assembled even before the election was held, in which they allocated some vote to Buhari and a little more vote to their paymaster. I think the Supreme Court has settled the issues. And I believe that former Vice President Atiku Abubakar went to court because he has confidence in the judiciary. If he didn't have confidence in the judiciary, nothing would make him to go there. And if the only way justice can be seen to be done is if he wins the outcome, then obviously he has to do a rethinking. I think that those who listened to the findings of the Court of Appeal that first heard the petition, they dealt with all the issues very exhaustively, and I was there. So it was very clear from the outset that PDP had no case, and the Supreme Court, having listened to it, I heard Galadima talking about, after all the presentations, the Supreme Court made it clear that submissions by the parties, the briefs had been submitted more than 2 weeks ago. They had taken time to read those briefs and compare notes, look at the authority cited, and look at the facts before the court. And it was clear that this is easily one of the most frivolous petitions that has come before the court. And they properly dismissed it. It is not the first time that the Supreme Court gave a judgment and reserved the details for another day, even where Vice President Atiku Abubakar was in office. the Supreme Court is on record as having to deliver judgment and ask Nigerians to wait for their reasons another day. So for me, I believe we have moved on. The Supreme Court has done the right thing. And I'm happy that Vice President Atiku has said his spirit is not broken. Obviously, his spirit should not be broken. He should have faith in Nigeria. His responsibility now is to play the role of a loyal opposition, exactly the same way as Buhari played a role of a loyal opposition, even as he had cause to dispute a lot of the PDP.
Comrade Oshiomhole, sorry, apologies if I may butt in quickly. Yes. Let me ask you this. Mr. Atiku came out today to say that the Supreme Court, the outcome of today's judgment as part of the challenges of our democracy. And it did raise a lot of question on the judiciary and the manner in which things are being run in Nigeria. He asked a big question about whether Nigeria is whole and the kind of situation that the country is under. The opposition has raised concern about today's sitting in court. They've raised concern about the constitution of the panel. And today they will say their fears have come to pass. Now, are you worried as a chairman of the ruling party when opposition voices are saying that they are worried about the manner in which the state of the judiciary and the manner in which they allege that the ruling party is muscling the opposition and every arm of the system?
Well, Shehu, my problem with you is that you parrot the views of opposition without reminding them of what you on record, what you can play back from your own coverage of judiciary over the years. Is it the truth that before now, that Nigerians are told days before who and who are going to be members of a panel of judges, whether at the tribunal level or at the Supreme Court? It is only when the judges sit that you get to know who and who is on the panel. Now, if there are cases where name of judges that will panel a particular petition are known, it is up to you to present it before Nigeria. It is not in the mouth of Atiku or indeed anybody in PDP, for that matter, to suggest that the name of the judges ought to have been published. And you can see for the past 2-3 weeks, they've been talking about the panel, they still don't know the panel. Why do they want to know the panel? Obviously, some might think they want to know the panel so that they can do what they are known best for, to try to manipulate the system.
Mr. Oshiomhole, if I may butt in, look, I mean, you were in the contest with them. Sorry if I'm about it. You are in the contest with the PDP, and I'm a journalist. I'm only putting the question to you because these are the concerns they've raised. They are also Nigerians. And you are the one at the helm of affairs of the country. Your party is the ruling party. And there are concerns that your party is muscling opposition, is muscling the judiciary. And they raised this concern before the sitting of today. And I've asked you the question, are you worried because they think there is no level playing field?
Now, Shehu, I have greater confidence in the judiciary, going by the way in which they went about this particular trial. I followed through the Court of Appeal, where the tribunal first had the case. I saw some of the witnesses, including Buba Galadima, who could not even deliver his own polling unit. We saw a so-called expert from Kenya who admitted that he's not certified by any institution anywhere in the world as an ICT expert, who based his judgment or the evidence he had on what they call a server known as fat.lie.com. And the ownership of that server was never disclosed. And this is not a server owned by INEC. And we were supposed to base the decision of a presidential elections on the findings of a Yahoo man from Kenya using figures from a server that is unknown to INEC. I mean, it is laughable for people to think that if they don't win, then the judiciary is nothing. When they win, judiciary is perfect. I mean, you made the point. Of all the cases that went to court so far, PDP has benefited from judicial favor than the APC. And yet, this is their conclusion. So I don't think I bother so much about what Atiku thinks. I bother more about what Nigerians believe. And Nigerians spoke loud and clear when they elected Buhari in the manner that they did, with a huge margin of 3.9 million vote difference. And you did a professional job when you recounted that for 3 consecutive elections, Buhari alone, even as a candidate of a minority party in CPC, has always had 12 million votes. And upon merger of APC, he had the advantage of a handshake across the Niger. And he has, this time around, far, far more votes. So I really don't see what the issues are. I think Atiku is entitled. This cannot be his finest hour. But like he said, his spirit is not broken down. Democracy is a long-distance race. He has benefited from the system before. APC is committed to change. We are committed to clean up the judiciary. The integrity of judiciary cannot depend on the integrity of the Nigerian judiciary cannot depend on the Onoge, who admitted to not knowing the number of foreign accounts he has, even as he's not a trader, and who suffered from memory loss, that he did not disclose these accounts in the code of conduct, which, as a jurist, he knows is a serious offense in the Nigerian environment. If the entire case of PDP was hinged on this one man, then obviously I leave the judgment to you. I believe that the Nigerian judiciary, the Supreme Court today has done justice. I believe Nigerians are happy. Those people who voted for President Muhammad Buhari are happy. Even those who voted for Atiku will feel a sense of relief. Nigeria cannot be detained by endless litigation. I think it is now for the party to begin to, the PDP to begin to behave like a loyal opposition. And the fate of Nigeria is not tied to PDP. I heard Buba talking about money to pay salaries, that money, the treasury has been emptied. Just watching TV over the past, since 1915, you could see the billions of naira and dollars that were stolen under PDP. And yet a PDP person can have mouth to say the kind of thing that is coming out from Buba Galadima's mouth. Let me say this. I sympathize with Atiku. I do appreciate this cannot be his finest hour, no matter what he says. I recognize he has done the right thing by doing the part of law, which I also did when I felt cheated. But once you submit to a process as a gentleman, you should accept the outcome. I think the judiciary has shown that they are independent. They have shown that they have courage. And our lawyers have shown
Comrade Oshiomhole, apologies, I need to butt in now because we need to take this break. Apologies, we need to take this break. When we come back, we get more reactions from the national chairman of the APC. Stay with us. More reaction and more issues on the outcome of the Supreme Court when we return, everyone. Join us again. Thank you so much, everyone, for staying with us. We've been speaking with the national chairman of the APC, Comrade Adams Oshiomhole. Thank you so much for talking to us. Let's get some of your closing remarks on some of the issues that were generated today in court. And of course, let me get your quick reaction. Your friend, the national chairman of the PDP, says that the country is in such an untidy state that only God can bail her out. I want to get your reaction to that also.
Well, unfortunately, I can't hear you very well.
Okay, let me repeat. I was asking you about I was asking you about your friend, the national chairman of the PDP. In his reaction today, he said the country is in such an untidy state that only God can bail her out. I want to get your reaction before I ask you my last question on the program.
Again, you know, I fully understand the... Again, I do fully understand the feelings of my brother, Mr. Secondus, when you are chairman of a party and your first presidential election, you lost it. Obviously, you can't be in the best of mood. But obviously, Nigeria's future is not tied to PDP. If anything, Buhari came on a rescue mission. Nigeria was on the sliding scale when Buhari came in 2015. So I think he twisted the facts upside down. And the good thing is that even the vice president, who is the former vice president, who is a PDP candidate, he has been part of that very past, when Nigeria oil, we had the highest revenue ever in our history. And yet, side by side with those huge revenues, they were borrowing. And they reduced Nigeria to a dumping ground for all kinds of contaminated products, etc., etc. And it was under their watch that Nigeria industries folded up, whether it is Michelin, whether it is Dunlop, all of those factories in Gamu, in Ikeja, in Apapa, in Port Harcourt, in Transamadi Layout, in Aba, in Kaduna, they all folded up under the PDP watch. So if Nigeria was on the sliding scale, it was courtesy of PDP misrule. What Buhari has come to do is to rescue the country. Even the insecurity we talk about developed under Obasanjo's watch when Boko Haram started in the northeast. Kidnapping started under PDP watch. In fact, I jokingly asked my friend Igige that perhaps when the other President Obasanjo's watch, he was kidnapped as a city governor in Anambra State, maybe that is where they thought the small boys, I guess, had to go into kidnapping. I do not know of any problem we are facing today that you cannot trace to the era of PDP. You can say we haven't fixed the problems that we inherited from PDP in full. But obviously, those problems couldn't have been fixed in 3.5 years or in 4 years. When you consider, take everything into account, including the fact that we have to contend with a huge debt burden that we inherited and cope with the reality of dropping prices of crude and even dropping in volume as a result of military activities, particularly around 2015, 2016. So I want to assure Nigerians that now that the Supreme Court has put the issue of election to rest, it is time to close rank and put Nigeria first. Anybody who went through an electoral process for the purpose of Nigeria, not for his own personal good, should be able to put the issues to rest. But if you went there because, as some people said, they were going there to enrich their friends, and Nigerians didn't think that they should elect a man whose purpose is to enrich his friends, not to work for everyone, and because most Nigerians are not his friends, they decline to oblige him, obviously, it's time to do a further reflection. If he has been denied the mandate to liquidate NNPC and sell it to his friends and brothers, it is time to rethink. I think Nigerians have voted. The Supreme Court has upheld the outcome. It is time to support and close rank and queue behind President Muhammadu Buhari, give him all the support he needs. I expect PDP to offer constructive criticism as a loyal opposition and offer policy solutions so that Nigeria is by a presidential election, over the next 3 years. I think the Supreme Court has put it to an end, and it is time to move on.
You've interestingly put my last question into your answer into that question, and we must sincerely thank you for talking to us tonight, Comrade Adams Oshiomhole, the National Chairman of the APC. Thank you so much for your time tonight.